Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a fabulous Thursday. Today I have a first impression on the Givenchy Antigona Small. This bag, I recently added it to my collection a few weeks back and I've been using it here and there, and I thought I would give you a glimpse as to some of the things that I've been loving and also some things that, for lack of a better phrase, are kind of eyebrow raising, might be somewhat of a concern. But I thought I would just share really quickly, and I will be doing an in-depth review on this the more that I use it, probably within the next couple of weeks. That way I can fully assess it and then I can give you guys an in-depth review on it. So I just want to give you a quick overview of the bag. This is the Givenchy Antigona Small in the black pebbled goatskin leather with the silver hardware, and this currently retails for $2,280 here in the States. All right, so let's jump right in, shall we? So some of the things that I've really been loving about this bag is the simplicity of it. For those of you that have been watching me for a while, many of you know that I don't tend to go for bags that have too many bells and whistles, too many zippers, too many studs. While I do appreciate them, it's not something that I usually end up adding to my collection. And I just love the clean, simple look that this has. I don't feel that it will be dated because it doesn't have too much going on. So I really do love that aspect about it. Something else that I've really been loving is the fact that it is the pebbled goatskin. Now, for the most part, when it comes to the Givenchy Antigona, a lot of people tend to go for the shiny calfskin because it is very carefree, but I've been doing quite a bit of research on goatskin in general, and they also talk about how carefree it is. It's great to use in the rain. If I ever got caught in the rain, all I have to do is kind of wipe it off, and it tends to hold its shape a lot better over time, again, from what I've been reading. So I really do love the pebbled look. Even though I do appreciate the shiny calfskin look, for me and my lifestyle, I think I've always I've always been one to just go for the textured leather there. So I really do love that aspect about it. Now, this is another thing that I've been loving, and it's gonna sound kind of weird, but again, if you've been watching me for a while, a lot of you know that I don't tend to, a detachable shoulder strap isn't a make or break for me in a handbag. It's not something that I look for. I don't find it to be a positive to any handbag. Yes, it makes the bag a little bit more versatile, but it's not something that I look for. But I feel that when I don't have the detachable shoulder strap on it, I feel that it's missing something. I feel that it looks a little odd on my body frame. And when I put it on, I feel that it just kind of completes the look. So again, it might sound kind of ridiculous, but I do love the way that it looks when it's together. I just feel that it has that whole cohesive look, and that's the way that it should end up looking. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but when there was one time when I did use it without the shoulder strap, and it just felt like I overwhelmed the bag. It felt like it was, I don't know, it looked unfinished. And then when I put this on, it ended up working out. So that's another thing. I love the overall look that it has with the detachable shoulder strap. Now, speaking of the shoulder strap, I have to say that this detachable strap is incredibly comfortable. There have been times that, again, since I'm not too big on having the detachable strap, there have been times when I found that I needed to be hands-free, and the fact that it comes with this, and this shoulder strap is so incredibly soft, it just ends up just molding to your shoulder, is great. So I had my hands full, I needed to be hands-free, and even though I prefer to use this bag, in the crook of my arm or hand carry, all I needed to do was just pop it on my shoulder and then I was hands-free. So I love that aspect about it. So, it's gonna sound weird, but I do appreciate the versatility. Again, I'm not too crazy about shoulder straps. It's not, something that I look for, but if need be, the fact that you can be hands-free with this bag makes it all the better. So I do love that. Something else that I really like about this is the fact that I don't find the handles to be too cumbersome. And to be honest, I thought that that might be something that would worry me a little bit, because these are a little bit closer, as you can see here, they're a little bit closer to the zipper. So sometimes when I'm opening up the bag, I felt that these would kind of get in the way, but I don't find that, I don't find them to be cumbersome, as I mentioned, and they don't get in the way. So I really do love that aspect about it. All right. Something else that I've really been loving about this bag is how much space I have inside. You have a total of 2 slip pockets on one side, another zipper compartment on the other. It's going to be really hard to tell because it does have the black textile lining, but everything that I'm able to fit inside of my Louis Vuitton Neverfull MM, I'm able to put in here and still have space left over. So the fact that I can carry quite a bit more with me makes me really happy. I don't have to downsize as much. I am able to use a full-size wallet in here. I'm able to use all of my 7 daily essentials without a problem, and again, still have space left over. So I do love that. And the last thing that I'd have to say that I really love about it is the hardware. The hardware is definitely one of the characteristics of the Antigona that I love about it the most. It has that chunky hardware, but again, I don't feel it's too much. I don't feel it's overwhelming, and it doesn't, even though it is a simple handbag, as I mentioned earlier, I feel that because it is simple and then you have the chunky hardware, it just has, it's a really nice blend together. It's a really nice blend together. It's a really nice, it's a really nice pairing. So you can see you have quite a thick zipper, and it does have a very, very smooth zipper as well. So I do love that. It doesn't get caught or anything like that. So ever since I started using it from the very beginning, it was just a smooth zipper. It's not like, you know, some of the other bags, sometimes you have to break them in when it comes to the hardware, and I don't find that at all with this Antigona. So those are the things that I've been loving about this bag. So now let's talk about the things to take into consideration, or the eyebrow raising, is it going to end up working out for me in the long run? So the first thing that I wanted to bring to light is actually the clasp for the detachable shoulder strap. And let me bring it up as close as possible so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So there is the clasp that holds the shoulder strap. As you can see, it has a little bit of an indentation. And then on the clasp itself, it has a little open space. Now, usually when it comes to detachable shoulder straps, they tend to have like a buckle or something that you just kind of pull in and then clasp on, and then you're good to go. Now, when I was talking to the sales associate at Givenchy, he said that the reason why they ended up doing it this way is because they wanted the bag to have more of a cohesive look. So that way, if you added the strap to it, it looked more like a chain. It didn't really look like a buckle. It didn't look like there was a break in the hardware, if that makes any sense. Now, I do appreciate that aspect about it, but I feel that when it comes to the type of hardware that this has, if you don't end up putting the clasp exactly where this little indentation is, there's only one on the entire clasp, or on the entire hardware. If you don't end up putting it on the right spot, I feel that it'll end up wearing hardware where you shouldn't. So it's almost like it's a little, I guess you can say tedious to a certain extent, that you have to make sure that it just kind of pops in. Now, this side actually tends to pop in a lot easier than the other side. But again, I feel that I have to line it up. Let me see if it'll, having a little bit of a difficult time here. I feel like I have to kind of line it up and then put it right through in order for it to work. But I feel that if I don't kind of, see what I mean? Like right now, if I don't end up putting it at the right angle, I feel that I'll end up scratching the hardware a lot quicker. Now again, that one ends up going in a lot faster than this one does. This one seems that the clasp, or that the indentation maybe is just a little too, it's a little too thick. So sometimes I have a little bit more of a pain being able to slip it on. See, like right now, I'm kind of pushing on it, it's lined up and it's not going through. So that is probably the biggest, you know, the biggest concern for me as far as how the hardware will end up wearing, because I tend to be pretty careful to a certain extent when it comes to handbags. I do want to enjoy the bag, but I feel that if I have to think twice about how I'm putting in the clasp, that might be a little too much, you know, to have to take into consideration. But for the most part, I end up leaving the shoulder strap on there. Like I said before, I did use it once or twice without the shoulder strap. I thought it was way awkward. It looked really funky on me. So it's not something that I have to continuously take off or anything like that. But if, let's say that you want that versatility, let's say that sometimes you want to use it as a hand carry bag, or you want to use it solely as a shoulder carry bag, that's something to take into consideration, the fact that the hardware might end up rubbing together if it's not lined up perfectly. Something else that I wanted to bring up is that even though this is because this is the black pebbled leather, it is very difficult to see some of the items that you have inside. So if you have it, let's say you have a bunch of small leather goods in there. You have a couple of clays, a couple of small card holders, something that doesn't have too much of a pop of color. Let's say you have mostly all black small leather goods. It might make it very difficult to find it because it is so incredibly dark in here. So if you were to use a bag organizer or a base shaper, it might be a little bit easier, but a lot of you know I'm not one to, I don't tend to go for bag organizers or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with them, it's just not for me, but I thought I would bring that up because as you can see, it's really hard to even show you the two slip pockets that it has because of how dark the fabric is inside. Of course, if you go for a lighter handbag, a lighter color, then you'll have a lighter interior, but if you're going for black, that's just something to note. The other aspect about this bag that I thought I would also bring up is the fact that it is a little bit heavier. I don't feel that it's as heavy as the Celine mini luggage or the Phantom, but still, once I end up adding quite a few items in there, it's not that it's super heavy, but I wouldn't consider it a lightweight bag. So I thought I would mention that as well. It's not like, it's not like you could just kind of use it on the crook of your arm and then you're thinking, oh, I can, it's no big deal. I won't be able to feel the weight. I personally feel that you can feel the weight. After a few hours, it is quite noticeable, but not to the point where it's like the mini luggage. I'm a big fan of the mini luggage from Celine. A lot of you know that. But again, I just feel that I cannot consider this a lightweight bag whatsoever. The last thing that I wanted to talk about this, it's not necessarily something, a con or anything like that, but I just thought I'd bring it up, is that when I first got this bag, the zipper was very tight. I thought that it would be a little too tight, and because of the hardware that it has, because of how chunky the hardware is on the zipper, I thought that it would end up scratching my items, but the more and more that I use it, the more relaxed it has become, so I just thought I'd mention that as well. It doesn't rub it up against my items or anything like that, so there we go. I thought I would also take the time to address as to why I went for the small versus the medium. I do like the medium, but personally for me and my lifestyle and my body frame, I felt that the medium was just a little too large. I like the small. The small is most comparable to a Louis Vuitton Speedy 30, the classic Speedy. And when it comes to hand carry bags, I tend to prefer that size in general. So that's why I ended up going for the small. But when I was at the boutique, I couldn't make up my mind. I was thinking, should I go for the medium? Should I go for the small? And I felt like I was there for hours until I finally settled on the small because, again, I felt that it ended up just suiting my overall frame a lot better. But I just thought, whenever it comes to reviews or first impressions, I've always said that I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly because let's say that you don't have a way to go to Givenchy and try these bags out for yourself, just to kind of, I want to show you guys and share the things that are kind of going through my mind. And even with the things that I talked about that are things to take into consideration, really the most notable thing being the hardware as far as how it ends up wearing over time. I feel that the things that I'm loving really end up outweighing the things to take into consideration, because if you are looking for, I'd have to say that if you are looking for a bag that is very versatile to the point where maybe you want to detach the shoulder strap off and on or consistently, then the fact that it is a little bit more tedious to put on might be something to take into consideration that might end up being a deal breaker for you. So that's why I wanted to bring it to light. But for me, I end up leaving it this way again because I feel that it looks the best, and I feel that when it doesn't have it, it almost looks like it's naked. But that's why it's not too big of a deal for me. So even with the things that I talked about, but in general, I am absolutely loving this bag. And every time I use it, I feel like my heart sings. I feel like I'm just kind of grinning from ear to ear because I think it is such a great handbag. And I like it so much that I'm already thinking about adding a different color to my collection. I thought about maybe going for the oxblood because that's kind of, that was kind of my first love when it came to the Antigona. But overall, it has to be something that ends up suiting you and your lifestyle. But I just thought I'd bring, again, some of the things that I have noticed over time. Like I said, I don't feel that it'll be a deal breaker for me. I don't feel that this bag will end up leaving my collection just because I feel that the things that I like about it the most definitely outweigh anything else. But again, I just thought I'd bring you as much information as possible. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red button down below. I make anywhere from 2 to 3 videos a week. And if you want to see, again, like I said, I will be doing a review on this probably within the next couple of weeks. I want to use a little bit more. That way I can fully say if this is something that definitely is a con or if this is something that really is a pro. Because again, these are just my first impressions and just my initial thoughts on this bag in general. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I was able to help that way if you're thinking about adding this bag to your collection. And that does it for this week, and I will see you guys on Monday with another Minx Monday Q&A. And as always, make it a fabulous day or not. The choice is yours. Have a great day, you guys.